Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a moment, because this right here is for every woman who has ever wondered if she was enough. I need you to hear me clearly today. Some of you walked away from a relationship thinking you were replaceable. Some of you were left ignored or taken for granted, and you questioned your value. But let me tell you something powerful. You are the kind of love men don't recover from. A woman's value isn't measured by how loudly she loves, how much she gives, or how much she sacrifices trying to hold someone together. Her value is revealed in how deeply she changes a man's life when she enters it. See, loud love gets attention, but deep love creates transformation. Loud love begs to be seen. Deep love doesn't need an audience. It shows up consistently, calmly, and with intention. And that kind of love, that's the kind men don't know how to forget. When a woman loves from a place of self-respect, it shifts something inside a man. She doesn't chase him. She doesn't perform. She doesn't over-explain her worth. She simply exists in her truth. And that presence alone forces a man to look at himself. He starts asking questions he's been avoiding. Am I enough? Am I serious? Am I ready? Because real love doesn't pressure a man with words. It challenges him with standards. You see, a man can handle drama. He can handle arguments. He can even handle chaos, because chaos feels familiar to many men. What they struggle with is peace. A woman who brings peace into a man's life becomes unforgettable, because peace exposes what's broken inside him. When a woman loves without conditions, but still holds boundaries, she teaches a man what emotional safety feels like. And once a man experiences that, everything else feels empty in comparison. This kind of woman doesn't lose herself trying to keep a man. She doesn't overextend, overgive, or overstay. She understands that love should add to her life, not drain it. And because of that, her love feels rare. It feels intentional. It feels different. A man notices that she doesn't need him to complete her. She chooses him, and that choice carries weight. Men don't recover from the woman who loved them without control, the woman who allowed them to be imperfect but never allowed them to be careless with her heart. She didn't try to fix him. She didn't try to rescue him. She simply loved him as he was while expecting him to rise to who he could be. That balance creates growth, and growth creates attachment. When that woman walks away, she doesn't leave chaos behind. She leaves silence, and silence is loud. In that quiet space, a man starts to feel the absence, not just of her presence, but of the version of himself he was becoming around her. He misses how focused he felt, how grounded he was, how motivated he became when she believed in him. That's why her absence lingers, because she didn't just love him, she expanded him. She made his world bigger, his thinking clearer, his purpose stronger. And once a man has been loved in a way that elevates him, he spends the rest of his life searching for that feeling again, often without realizing it was never about finding another woman. It was about the kind of love only she knew how to give. The love men don't recover from is the love that brought peace, purpose, and truth into their lives all at once. Not excitement without stability, not passion without direction, but a steady presence that made life feel clearer. When a woman steps into a man's world and suddenly his chaos quiets down, his focus sharpens, and his goals feel reachable, something powerful happens. He may not say it out loud, but internally he knows life feels better with her in it. Peace is rare for a man. The world expects him to be strong, successful, unbreakable, and always in control. So when a woman creates a space where he doesn't have to perform, where he can rest emotionally, that space becomes sacred. She listens without judgment, speaks without tearing him down, and supports without smothering. That kind of peace doesn't make a man weak, it makes him honest. And honesty creates connection that goes far deeper than attraction. Purpose enters the picture when a woman believes in a man before the results show up. Not blind belief, not fantasy, but grounded faith. She sees potential and reflects it back to him without forcing it. She encourages his discipline, respects his grind, and reminds him who he is when self-doubt creeps in. A man begins to move differently when someone sees his future clearly. He starts showing up better, thinking bigger, pushing harder, not because he's pressured, but because he feels seen. And then there's truth. Real love doesn't lie to keep comfort. It doesn't stay silent to avoid tension. The woman a man never recovers from tells him the truth with care. She doesn't attack his ego, but she doesn't protect it either. She holds up a mirror and allows him to confront who he is becoming. That kind of honesty is unsettling at first because it removes excuses. But it also builds respect. A man may resist truth in the moment, but he never forgets the person who spoke it with love. What makes this combination unforgettable is how rare it is. Many relationships give pieces, excitement without peace, support without honesty, love without direction. But when a woman brings all three, she becomes irreplaceable. A man starts to associate her with growth. Being around her makes him better, calmer, and more grounded. And that feeling gets etched into his emotional memory. When that woman is gone, the absence is loud. Other relationships may come and go, but something always feels off. Conversations feel shallow. Support feels conditional. Peace feels temporary. He starts to realize that what he lost wasn't just a person, but an environment, a space where he felt aligned, motivated, and understood, even if he never reaches out, even if life moves forward, the imprint remains. Because once a man experiences love that brings peace to his mind, purpose to his path, and truth to his character, he spends a lifetime measuring everything else against it. often without even realizing the standard was set by the woman he never fully replaced. When a woman truly knows her worth, her presence is powerful, but her absence is unforgettable. She doesn't threaten to leave. She doesn't use silence as a weapon. She simply understands when something no longer aligns with her value, and she chooses herself without bitterness. That decision alone leaves a deeper mark on a man than any argument ever could, because a woman who walks away with dignity forces a man to confront what he lost, not what he escaped. A woman who knows her worth doesn't over-explain her needs. She doesn't beg to be prioritized. She observes. She pays attention to patterns, not promises. And when she realizes she is giving more than she is receiving, she doesn't try to convince someone to love her correctly. She steps back. That calm withdrawal creates confusion in a man's mind because it disrupts what he expected. He expected drama. He expected tears. He expected chasing. What he didn't expect was self-respect. Men are wired to respond to consequences, not words. When a woman keeps giving despite being undervalued, the message received is that her boundaries are flexible, but when she removes her energy, her time, and her emotional availability without hostility, the message is loud and clear. Something valuable is gone. And loss has a way of sharpening awareness. Her absence creates space, and in that space, reflection begins. He starts replaying moments he once overlooked, her consistency, her loyalty, her patience. He remembers how she showed up when things were hard, how she believed when he doubted himself, how she didn't abandon him at his lowest. And now that stability is missing. Silence replaces familiarity, and silence has a way of forcing honesty. What makes her absence so heavy is that it isn't empty. It's full of memory. It's full of what could have been. It's full of the version of himself he was becoming while she was around. He doesn't just miss her presence, he misses who he was with her. The focus, the motivation, the emotional grounding. Without realizing it, she had become a quiet anchor in his life. A woman who knows her worth doesn't rush back when a man suddenly notices the gap she left behind. She doesn't return out of loneliness or guilt. By the time he feels the loss, she has already begun healing. She has already reclaimed the parts of herself she once poured into him. And that timing matters because the realization comes too late. Men don't recover from that kind of loss because it teaches them a permanent lesson. They learn that not every woman stays, not every love is endless. Some women come into a man's life not to remain, but to reveal his readiness, to reveal his emotional maturity, to reveal the cost of complacency. And long after she's gone, even if he never says her name again, her impact lingers in his standards, in his regrets, in the quiet moments where he recognizes that the woman who left without destroying him was the woman who truly loved him and loved herself enough to walk away. Men remember the woman who believed in them before success arrived, because that kind of belief touches a man at his most vulnerable point. Before the money, before the recognition, before the confidence is fully built, a man is often walking on faith, doubt, and pressure all at once. He may not show it, but inside he's questioning whether he'll ever become the man he wants to be. When a woman steps into his life during that season and sees him clearly, not for what he has, but for who he's trying to become, that belief stays with him forever. This kind of woman doesn't fall in love with results. She falls in love with direction. She notices his discipline, his effort, his consistency. She encourages him on days when nothing is working and celebrates progress that the world doesn't see yet. Her support isn't loud or performative. It's steady. It's patient. It's grounded. And that steadiness gives a man something rare, confidence that isn't borrowed from success, but built from trust. A man moves differently when someone believes in him early. He becomes more focused, more intentional, more driven, not because he feels pressured to impress her, but because he doesn't want to disappoint the belief she placed in him. Her faith becomes fuel. When he wants to quit, he remembers her words. When doubt creeps in, he hears her voice reminding him who he is. That emotional imprint doesn't fade with time or distance. What makes this belief so powerful is that it's not blind. She doesn't ignore his flaws or excuse his mistakes. She believes in his potential while holding him accountable to his actions. She challenges him to grow not by criticism, but by expectation. She sees greatness and expects him to rise toward it. And that balance creates respect. A man respects the woman who doesn't worship him, but also doesn't underestimate him. If he loses her before success arrives, the loss cuts deep. Because when the breakthrough finally happens, she's not there to see it. And that realization hits hard. He remembers the late nights, the uncertainty, the moments when she stood by him without guarantees. Success feels different when the person who believed first is no longer present to share it. Even if he reaches the top, a part of him always remembers who stood at the bottom with him. That memory humbles him. It reminds him that love isn't about convenience or timing. It's about presence. And no amount of future admiration can replace the woman who believed when there was nothing to prove yet. That's why men don't recover from losing that kind of woman, because she didn't just love who he became, she loved who he was becoming. And that kind of love stays etched in a man's story long after success changes his circumstances. Emotional safety creates a bond stronger than passion alone, because passion can be felt anywhere, but safety is rare. Attraction can be instant. Chemistry can be exciting, but emotional safety is what allows a man to fully show up without armor. Most men are taught to suppress fear, hide uncertainty, and handle everything on their own. So when a woman creates a space where he doesn't have to pretend, where he doesn't feel judged for his doubts or punished for his honesty, that connection goes deeper than anything physical. A woman who offers emotional safety listens without immediately trying to fix everything. She allows silence without pressure. She responds instead of reacting. That calm presence tells a man that his thoughts are welcome, his feelings are valid, and his vulnerabilities won't be used against him later. And for a man, that experience is unforgettable, because once you've been fully seen and still accept surface level connections lose their appeal. This kind of bond builds trust in ways passion never can. Passion can burn fast and fade quickly, but trust grows quietly and lasts. When a man feels emotionally safe, he opens up about his fears, his failures, his past mistakes. He shares parts of himself he doesn't even share with friends. And in that sharing, attachment forms. Not dependency, but connection, because he feels understood, not just desired. Emotional safety also creates consistency. A man doesn't feel like he has to perform or impress to earn affection. He feels free to be human, and that freedom strengthens the bond. He associates the woman with peace, clarity, and grounding. Even during conflict, he knows he won't be dismissed or disrespected. Disagreements become conversations, not battles, and that stability becomes priceless. When a man loses a woman who gave him emotional safety, the loss is deeply unsettling. He may find attraction again, he may find excitement again, but that sense of ease is gone. Conversations feel guarded. He holds back. He doesn't open up the same way, because once safety is broken or lost, it's not easily replaced. Her absence reveals just how much she mattered. He notices that he no longer feels as calm, as focused, or as emotionally balanced. He misses being able to speak freely without fear of misunderstanding. He misses being heard without having to explain himself repeatedly. And that realization lingers long after the relationship ends. Men don't recover from losing emotional safety because it becomes the standard. Once a man experiences love that feels safe, everything else feels unstable by comparison. He may move on, but deep down he knows the difference between connection and convenience. And the woman who made him feel emotionally at home becomes the one he measures every future relationship against, whether he admits it or not. Some love doesn't end, it imprints. It settles into a man's memory, his habits, his expectations, and the way he understands connection. This kind of love doesn't disappear when a relationship ends or when time passes. It becomes part of how he experiences life afterward. He may move forward, meet new people, build new chapters, but the imprint remains quietly influencing how he feels, how he chooses, and how he remembers. This happens when a woman loves in a way that is intentional, present, and real, not rushed, not conditional. She shows up fully, not halfway. She listens with her whole heart, supports without losing herself, and loves without pretending to be someone she's not. That authenticity creates a deep emotional mark because it's rare. Most people wear masks. She didn't. And a man never forgets the woman who loved him without pretending. An imprint is created when love changes a man internally, when he becomes more patient, more emotionally aware, more reflective because of her presence. He starts communicating differently. He begins to understand his emotions instead of running from them. He learns what respect feels like, what consistency looks like, what healthy love actually is. And once a man learns those things through experience, he can't unlearn them. Even after she's gone, her influence shows up in quiet ways. He hears her words in moments of doubt. He remembers her standards when he's tempted to settle. He recognizes red flags faster because she taught him what healthy boundaries look like. In this way, her love continues teaching long after the relationship ends. What makes this imprint so powerful is that it wasn't forced. She didn't try to change him. She didn't lecture or manipulate. She led by example. She loved with integrity. She respected herself. And in doing so, she showed him a higher level of love. A man may not appreciate that fully in the moment, but maturity brings clarity. With time, he understands the depth of what he had. This kind of love also reshapes regret, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet, reflective kind. The kind that shows up late at night or in moments of stillness. He wonders if he could have done better, shown up more, grown faster. He realizes that what he lost wasn't just a person, but a rare experience. And that realization stays with him. Men don't recover from love that imprints because it raises the standard permanently. Every future connection is unconsciously compared to it, not in a way that prevents moving on, but in a way that makes mediocrity unacceptable. He knows what depth feels like now. He knows what real effort looks like, and that awareness changes him. That's the quiet power of imprinting love. It doesn't chase. It doesn't demand recognition. It simply exists, leaves its mark, and continues to influence long after it's gone. And the woman who loved like that may never fully know the impact she had, but her love lives on in the man she changed forever.